All right, welcome to this episode of Press, Shake, and Run Season 2. This is day 6 with this unit that I'm building and have named Miss August. And she has a whole attitude. And now I've decided that since it's getting very weird to place on my head, I have to add it to a wig cap. And then I am going to add hairs to the lace frontal because I know how to ventilate a wig. I can do that. So, snatch this off. So the whole idea is that that will be the bang area. This will lay down. But what's happening is I'm getting this bald area. And this is literally knitted onto pantyhose. Again, until I have money to buy what I really need, I improvise. So she's full, very curly, and just about done. We just need to touch it up so it looks more natural. So, wig cap placed. Actually, that's backwards because I like this to be the back of the head. And I have a little dot to tell me so. Here we go. So we'll place that on. And I can actually still see my spot through that. This is a 22-inch cork mannequin, which is the size of my head. And I have another one up here on my stand. I have 2 of them. Now I'm simply going to put it back on, and then I am going to stitch it where it is closed on top of the wig cap. That way I don't have, because it's already full, I don't want to add any more hair to this. I just need to close the gaps like that. So that's what I'm going to work on. I'll be back, let you know how it goes. Okay, so I have the net stockings pinned around where I want it to fit on the wig cap. I have it bundled up to where I want the hair to stay in place so there's not as many gaps. And here we go with the stitching. I figured I'd show you a little bit before I put you on pause again. So we're pinned, and literally I'm just going to go around and stitch onto the cap. And I think I chose the smallest needle I have. And I'm not going to stitch tightly because I want that flexibility. So I want the elasticity to stay. So it's going to be super loose. Got a braid in there. I don't want to go through this band either. So I'm going to be mindful of that. And just going back the way that I came. And this way it's stitched double time. Pull it a little bit, make sure it's stretching. I've done this before with the previous unit that I have, this one right here, and it works just fine for me. I'm not going to have nobody walking up on me checking my wig anytime soon. This is just what works for me. Tie that off. And you know what? Let's just keep going around. And this is just your regular sewing thread, but it's a very sturdy one. I do have it doubled stringed around here. that tied off yet. Again, it's super loose. And get this side. Guys, I do a little bit of everything when it comes to stitching a wig together. A little bit of everything. Just to find ways to preserve, recycle, reuse, refresh some of the units I already have. And when I'm on a budget and I can't go out and buy a $5, $6 wig cap, I just use what I have because I want to continue to experiment with styles and experiment with my braiding skills. So why not practice with pantyhose that's 99¢ from Walmart before I mess up and destroy a more expensive cap with the lace frontal and all that fun stuff. So that was the border. And I have my little tomato pin holder. I love this thing. I have the border done now, so the middle isn't moving all over the place. I'm just going to pull sections down at a time. See how it's still stretching and falling out of place? I don't want that. I want it to stay where I have it. So I'm just going to go around and continue to thread the sections where I want them to be into the wig cap. But I'm only going to do 1 or 2 at a time. Not a lot. This would take the same amount of time as if you were stitching on or sewing on a wig cap. That costs, what, $150 to get a sew in? Sometimes more. But you pay for that professional skill and you pay for it dearly. This whole process has probably cost me nothing. Ah, here's the one I was looking for. So usually, if I'm not talking to you guys, I'm usually praying or thinking about life circumstances that I need to work on. Circumstances don't normally mean trials or tribulations. Some are celebrations. Some are solutions to things I've always wanted to do and just haven't tried out yet. Like they just filled up the canal and I'm so excited because now I can take my kayak out. And the local beach is free, but I want to go into the canal because I know if I fall out my kayak, I'm closer to people who might be able to discover me. I know how to swim. I taught myself how to swim via YouTube videos and GoSwim.com. Hi, Chquet.
He loved the bush. I mean, yeah, he loved the bush.
Oh,
and he
look
loved the bag.
Yay. That was my sister, Jaquette, just getting me.
Wasn't that at work?
Yeah.
Oh, she went in early?
I don't know about early, but yeah. We're going to tie that off. That's all for that section.
Hello? Yeah. Oh.
I'm getting tangled. I'm getting tangled. Let's pull down the next section. Where's what?
Yeah, how do I don't get on the floor?
Wasn't me. Oh, all these curls are about to fall. So here's what the back is looking like. And again, just gonna thread it into place because I want it to stay put.
Oh, damn! Come here, honey. Come here.
Yes?
Go to my car door. Go to my car and get that food in front of the car seat. It's in the passenger seat in the front.
Come down. Oh, I got tangled. Oh, got real tangled. I do not want to punch a hole. So what I'm going to do with the sides by the ears, because there's 2 rows right here, I'm just going to center the hair to the middle, and then I'm going to stitch 3 times on either side. That's going to close the gap in the middle and give it the fullness that I need here, and have the sides open. And then I'm also going to tie the piece in the middle. Actually, I'm going to do that now. So just from the stockings, I've taken away some of the elasticity, and now I'm going to stitch the rest to the wig cap, just 3 stitches here and here, because I don't want to ruin the elasticity of the wig cap. I am planning this as I go, by the way, if anyone is wondering. And then I'm going to go back 1 row. My only thing is that this is brown, not the black that I wanted, but all the jet black thread was, for whatever reason, sold out. In another life, I was a seamstress, I'm sure. I do know how to stitch and sew and all that fun stuff. I used to make a ton of pillowcases when I was little. Like 12, 13 years old, I started stitching. My mom had a sewing machine. I used that a couple times. I have a sewing machine in my basement right now, and it's just not functional. It's missing a couple pieces. Hoarding syndrome. It's on my to-do list to repair it and make it functional again. Just haven't gotten around to it. That'll be another episode when I actually get my sewing machine up and going. Well, 'tis the season to do it. And I'm not tying so tight that I hear a scrunch or see any scrunching. I am making sure it is very loose, the areas where I am attaching to the wig cap. But as far as the stockings are concerned, so I have the back, I have two sides where the ears would go, and I have the middle piece done. Now, I'm going to take a little bit more out. And I hope I gave you a good view of what the wig cap looked like. But right before I get to the lace frontal, actually, where's the knot? I have the center knot piece. The original knot is going to go at the very tip of the lace frontal, right before the lace gets very laid back and thin. And that's where I'm going to stitch in all the way across, right before the bang. Actually, I'm going to do it now. The final stitching is going to be right around where the bang is. And then I can pull the cap back and show you. So you need to stitch all of this. All of this just needs to be stitched together, kind of in a knot. So this whole section right here, I am going to sew together. It's like this wide. If I spread it out, I'm going to pinch it and stitch it together. And then that piece is what I'm going to stitch down onto the wig cap. Kind of like a little bundle in itself. Pull my string through there. Put my pin back in my tomato. And I got a few flyaways in the way. It's okay. I will probably not be going rollerblading and swimming and into the canal with my kayak with this ever. But should I? I think this will hold up. The other one did. I went running. I went and did extreme workouts on my obstacle course. But most times I can just snatch these units off, put a head wrap on, and do what I need to do if I'm not leaving the house or going to work. And then later, come back, put it on, get fancy. Just look at these layers though. Look at those curls. I'm so excited about this. This came out so phenomenal. I love it. So another fun fact, I have in the past disassembled units like this and reused the caps as well until the cap is like falling apart in 14 sections. It gets reused. So now I have the middle part where I want it to be, and we are going to get into the, I want to say I'm right about here with it. I'll show you in a second because suddenly I want to put one more stitching across the middle. I really want it to have some flexibility, but not too much, so it can move. I like how it's placed, I like how it's sectioned, but I do want to put one more right about here. Just a random thought. I just want that security there. So again, I'm going to pinch together, take away some of the elasticity from the net stockings, and then I'm going to stitch it to the wig cap. This is what I was thinking. I don't want I don't want tension on my hair. So this will prevent me from having to use so many safety pins if I stitch it to the cap correctly. Because I did realize when I put this on without the wig cap in the past, and yesterday when I did a quick test, there was a lot of tension on my pins. And I think it's because I used roughly about 14 bundles on this unit. So Ms.August is a little heavy, but that's okay. Because most of the times when I'm wearing her, I'll be sitting right in the glam corner and just being cute. So there, that's all I wanted to do. 3 stitches placed right there to hold it where I need it to stay. Now we're going to jump into the front and take a look really quick. All right. So right underneath here, I am going to put a very fine stitch all the way around where this space is to connect the stocking to the cap, because I want to cut the band off here, and I want to cut the band off here so I can have a full lace frontal there. So one of the things I'm doing right now is I have brought this wig cap. I actually went to college with this young lady here, and it's just been every time I go to the store I buy this brand. So this is the wig cap I've used in the past, and I'm learning how to put my own lace frontal on so I can have a 360 lace. That's going to be in another episode how I do that, but I want to start building my own so I can do all of it from home by myself. Just a hobby. Some people crochet, some people scrapbook. I do those too, but I want to learn how to do these now as well. So this is already done for me. I'm just gonna make it look a little nicer, and then in the future I will be making my own. I actually tinted this too in another episode, maybe episode 5 or 6, one of those. So yes, that's for another time in season. Put that right there. Actually, I'm gonna put all of this together in the package. It didn't come like that. I brought it separately. There we go. I didn't say my friend's name because I haven't asked her for permission yet. She's not a YouTuber. I know her name, but I try to refrain from saying people's names if I haven't asked for their permission to mention it in my videos. Alrighty, back to this. Now with this, I am a little anxious because I want to get the placement right in order not to have a huge gap. I don't want to have to ventilate too much more than what I've already done, even though I have a feeling I'm going to have to. I'm going to go ahead and take it down. This is the bangs that I installed. I'm going to move some back and out of the way. Actually, I'm going to move most of them back and out of the way. And they're designed to be a side part.
Yeah?
There we go.
Yes? Oh, no, I'm saying sail. Sail. Oh.
So there we go. Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know I was in your room. Actually,
Oh,
just
my
wait.
There we go. Do not jump on my bed. Do not knock anything down.
Mommy's
Okay, so that would be my middle part, but that is a huge middle part. So I want to close it and I want to attach it to the unit. I might have to take these off, and that will be perfectly fine with me. So yes, this is the part that I need to ventilate and fill in. So here's what I'm going to do. Oh my goodness. My sister is in her room singing her heart out. I do believe we are about now 23 hours in, I believe. So this is going to be to this side. This is going to be to this side. All of those are going to be to that side. Okay. And pull that back. So I can't stretch that any more. That's as far as it will stretch. And I am going to stitch all the way around to the lace cap and make these hairs stay in place where they are. Starting with a few pins actually, because I don't want them going too far. That one right there. So I'm actually pinning the hair, pieces of the hair and pieces of the cap down. All right. They are cutting the line, so you might be hearing that in the background. I'm gonna start from up here. Is this enough? That's not nearly enough, but I can get a couple knots in. My landlord likes to have nice lawn fronts, probably because he wants to take really good pictures so eventually he could sell his property again for greater value. I don't know the reasoning, but if it were me, that's why I would keep my property nice and neat, have my tenants happy, which I am. But I think since spring has sprung, they have been out there once a week cutting the grass, which causes me to have to pause my video a great deal because it just gets very loud and the windows are not very thick or double paned or soundproofed here. All right, I think I am going to take a leap of faith. No, I'm not about to take that leap, not right now. I'm going to continue to stitch first because I don't want the stockings to unravel before I have secured it. I'm going to get right back into it. Okay, here we go. Start here. This is the part that concerns me the most because of the material, of course, of the stocking. I am dreading how it's going to react once I cut it. And I'm not actually going to cut too much, but the strength of stockings, you know how you get that run and then the whole thing unravels? That's what I'm dreading right now. So right now I am planning in my head, trying to figure out how I'm going to prevent that unravel in advance. I don't think there is a way to prevent it. In the past, people say use fingernail polish to prevent a run, but these are net stockings. So, they're not designed for this, but I want it to work. I know it can. Another thing I could do is when I go back to fill it in. Actually, I'm going to go back and do it now, and I keep saying this. We're just going to stitch back up on this side without knotting Janelle. Okay, so this is my idea. I'm going to close up the frontal as if I were doing a closure. I'm going to start right about here. And then I'm going to stitch it down to the weight cap. Without knotting, Janelle. Dang it. Teeny little knot. Will not let me do it. Okay. I'm about to lose all this string. Where is the knot? Got it. I think. Nope. I hate knots. They're so frustrating. Okay. I'm tying it off. I don't want to pop my lace. Sorry if I made anybody nervous. Okay. Here we go. I should have just did that and moved on in the first place. Actually, I feel like they are working on the weeds out there. I hope they're working on the weeds. Those weeds drive me insane when I'm going out there to work out. But they are spending a lot of time in one spot. I'm going to stitch this down to the cap. One more time. I can't open my windows and it's nice outside. I wanted to get some air. In another episode, I talked about and did a review on a Arctic evaporative filtration air purifier system from Walmart for my room. It's so adorable. Right now it's sitting on the floor under my desk. It's not running because it uses water. So far, looking much better. This is what I'm going to do now. I'm not done stitching on, but I do want to put braids where I want braids to be added. And this little gap right here is one of those areas. And I can also use the hair to close up other gaps that I want closed and not to show. That way I'm not using all of my thread and teeny little stitches to do what I need to do. And I have to go back and curl and dip, but that's okay. It's necessary. I'm just closing this up. And I decided I'm not going to cut the net. I'm terrified of the results if I cut that net. And I know that the stocking is going to run and the whole thing is going to be damaged and destroyed. And it's going to take me months to salvage the damage that I could just avoid. I'm not going to cut the stocking. So if any of you are sending soul prayers my way, thank you. I'm not going to cut it. The fun part is I know I only have 7 subscribers and I'm not going live stream, but I want to talk and practice as if I am for the day that it happens. This is rehearsal, a dress rehearsal, okay? This is my dress rehearsal. Oh, fun fact, speaking of dress rehearsals, step back because this part you can watch from a distance. I used to go to Evangel Cathedral in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and I was in so many different drama productions, musicals. My favorite one, of course, was the Christmas production. And when I say it was an experience to remember, I will never forget it. I will never, ever, 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 ever disassociate from that church because they paid for my scholarship. They gave me $1,000, $2,000 to get into college, which started me on my way. And I was so grateful. But going back to the drama and the dance and the music and everything that I did at that church developed me into the artist that I am today. I need to work on my vocal cords a little bit more, as I have recently joined the music team at my current church, Jubilee Christian Church, which is right down the street. I could walk to it. And I am so thrilled that I have the background that I have in ministry, and it manifests all the time. Like, I'll be walking around my room, walking around my house. I'll be in the middle of a workout, and I'll just start dancing and praising and praying. And it all came from my upbringing as a child. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so everything that we did at the church was usually free, volunteer work, and most of the times I was so excited to go to church because everything there was just so encompassing to my attention span. I just loved it. And I remember being in dance. How old was I? Probably started when I was 6, and I continued all the way out through high school. So it was my senior year of high school was the last time I was in a production because I wanted to focus on graduation. Passing my Merlin functional math, reading, writing tests, they were so stressful. But at the same time, I remember that I would always go back to church and I would pray and I would just talk to God about everything that was happening in my life. And to this day, I swear to goodness, if it wasn't for that upbringing, I don't know how sane I would be. I don't know how stable I would be. I don't know how successful I would be without the foundation of being at Evangel Cathedral. Now, once I left for college, I ended up at Lamb of God Christian Ministries, which is in Homestead, Pennsylvania, and they were the next level of mental stability, spiritual stability in my life. I was still working on financial stability. But anyway, going back to Lamb of God Christian Ministries, it was quite the experience being there. And I went there for 10 years. I was invited by Soroya Brown. Thank you, Soroya. On October 15th of 2003. That's when I went to college, or I left for college, August of 2003. I started attending Lamb of God Christian Ministries because Soroya worked in the cafeteria of Carlow University, where I went for my Bachelor's of Arts. And she invited me, and I was just so blessed at that church. I was not always on my best behavior, but they kept me in line. The pastor of the church, Pastor Walker, and First Lady Walker, they were Pastor Carol, I love her. And they were so welcoming, and they basically adopted me and took me in. They had 2 daughters of their own, but I felt like I was one of their daughters. They taught me everything that I needed to know about advancing in ministry. I was a participant at Evangel Cathedral. I was a part of the ministry team, the leadership team at Lamb of God Christian Ministries. And they loved me through my shortcomings. They loved me through everything that, most people don't get loved through. And that church is so welcoming to everybody. And they were on the corner with about 7 other churches. Like you could stand at the door of the church and see literally 7 or more churches. I want to say 7, but I believe there were more. You could count from the door of um, Lamb of God Christian Ministries. And again, there I was in plays, I was in the choir, I was in the music ministry, I did pastoral assistant, and I just grew and developed at that church in ways I never thought I could growing up. It just opened my eyes to what I could be. It was more than I planned to be when I attended church, and it just helped me get through the second phase of my life, second phase of my education, second phase of my career. And I love, listen, Pastor Jackie, I love you. She let me live with her for 2 years in a row, and God bless her for putting up with me because I thought I knew it all. I thought I could do it all. And she sat me down quick and was like, listen here, young lady, this ain't it. We're not about to do this. And she mothered me and put me in my place more times than she should have had to. So I'm sorry. I love you. I owe her like $1,000. I owe the church like $1,000. I'm going to pay y'all back. Anyway, after that has been said, they don't want anything back, but I just, they invested in me. They invested greatly in me. And I, again, volunteer service, working at the church, it was something like I needed to give back to God. I learned about time, talent, and treasure from Pastor Walker. I watched First Lady and I admired their relationship. They set relationship goals for me, the way that they walked and lived and talked, and just modeled for all the young women in the church what it meant to be a husband and a wife. I tried it, I ended up divorced, so clearly I need more practice. I plan to stay single for the rest of my life, but yeah. Moving on to the next topic, because that's a touchy one for season 2048. That's what that season is going to be. And let's just say church has driven me to improve my life and do better. Both churches did have and incorporate business skills, which I never actually dived all the way into. A few of the businesses I did try to get into outside of the church was Quick Star, which was through my dentist, Dr. Carver, love you, and Cutco. I sold Cutco knives. I still have Cutco knives in my kitchen. I'm going to pause because this Doug, my property maintenance guy, is out there cutting the grass again. I'm just filling in. I'll be back. Okay. I think Doug is over in the neighbor's yard now, far enough for me to talk a little bit. But I believe I left off talking about how the church impacted my life. And I haven't had any negative experiences in the church. I've had more outside of the church concerning the church, but I've never had a negative experience in the church. It's always been a welcoming, forgiving, homely experience. Here he come again. So I have encountered some negative people in the church, but where don't you encounter negative people? I turn those moments into teachable moments. I turn them into experiences I can learn from. For example, when I was in charge of the children's dance ministry at Lamb of God Christian Ministries, before I got into special education and working with children at Martin Luther King Pittsburgh Public School, I had a parent at the church, and her son had autism. Loved him to death, loved her to death. God bless them both. But I said something to her son that set her off, as rightly she should have gone off, and I had to go back and apologize later because I wasn't quite aware the full capacity of what parents went through with having an autistic child. That was a teachable moment. A couple of years later, another parent came into the church, and I had learned my lesson. I had also gotten a little bit more education because I was attending college at the time, but it was book knowledge. When I got into the church, everything that was book knowledge became practice, hands-on field experience. And I wasn't thinking about it as field experience then, but it was the baseline for my career when I had no experience, when I wasn't even thinking about being so into special education as I am today. Pittsburgh Public School District is what got me started into special education because they needed those teachers. I was working at a call center, Dial America, and Rochelle Oakes, thank you. She pulled me out of that call center and was like, you need to go teach. You're not saying we were better or above, but she was like, you just have too much knowledge. You have too much experience. You have too much ministry in you to be here on the phones talking via script. And I was like, you're right. I couldn't be me reading a script off of a screen. And that's when I realized everything that I really was pressed to say and share with people was going down into journals. I mean, everybody who lived my life with me, we're all, interdependent of each other. We know some of each other's stories, but not the whole story. But Rochelle Oakes, she kind of saw who I was, and she was a life speaker. She had been in service, I want to say Air Force. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I need to go do my homework and contact you and say hello and find out your bio. But she was the one that pulled me out of there and pressed me forward into getting into education. I was also a part of AmeriCorps Reading Corps in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I was placed at a site. It was Propel Elementary School where sororious children attended, and it was right across from Lamb of God Christian Ministries. So I felt like whenever God impressed upon my heart to do things, he put me right in a little radius where I could function, because again, I didn't have a car. I couldn't commute as easily as everyone else who had cars and vehicles. But the public transportation system in Pittsburgh was phenomenal because there was a bus every 10 minutes. And if I needed to be somewhere, I was usually there an hour early, because I was terrified of being an hour to 2 hours late. If you miss a bus sometimes, and it's just, a mess. But anyway, let me just tell you the whole circle of events. And I know actually, y'all, I cut it. I did it. I cut it. So let me start stitching this up, because the stocking is very strong, but I'm going to keep telling you this. For the 10 years I was in Pittsburgh, everything was connected. I went to Carlow University and met Sororia. Sororia took me to Lamb of God Christian Ministries. While I was at Lamb of God Christian Ministries, I was at Dial America. When I was at Dial America, Rochelle Oakes pushed me to be a teacher, and she sent me to Pittsburgh Public School District. So I signed up and everything. And while I was at AmeriCorps, I ended up working at Propel. Propel even pushed me further to get into the school districts, where I ended up being an inspirational teacher. And in that program, I did 2 years, and that started me into actually college experience of getting my master's in elementary special education. In this time, I had already graduated with my bachelor's in media arts and animation. So all of those things connected. I was still a bus rider on public transportation, and I was just talking to people on the bus about my experiences. I was writing on the bus, writing while waiting for the bus, and studying on the bus. Half my life was spent on a public transportation, which is where I got all my thoughts and prayers and things down for the day. But now that I'm driving, I don't have that time while I'm driving. I used to do little videos while I was driving, which is such a bad habit. So now I do park and talks. You'll see those in a couple episodes in season 1. I have some that I will never reveal because the information was just too traumatic to share. Like my divorce, my custody battles, relationships gone wrong. I won't talk about those things. Just too bitter and still too fresh and new for me at heart. One day, maybe, not today. So I have my 2 boys, love them to death, civil with their father, and it's just a pressing matter right now because they're at this age where they want us all under one household, and I haven't found a way to express to them and tell them it's not going to happen. So that said, going back to Lamb of God Christian Ministries, I took my boys there several times. They were born in Pittsburgh, and I had them go to the church with me several times, and they met the church family, and God bless them. They spoiled me while I had my kids. But I noticed my passion for children's ministry really manifested even more. Now, my mother is a Sunday school teacher, and I was her assistant on many occasions. But when I became the teacher, it changed my life. It changed it tremendously when I became When my kids started school and I started dealing more with teachers, it changed my perspective again. And now that I'm a certified teacher in this season that we're living in and schools are closed, when kids go back, I know it's going to change my perspective again. So I'm all about change. I'm all about progress. I'm all about perspective. I'm all about making sure that I don't get stagnant. And when I'm not stagnant, I know that other people are not going to be stagnant around me. So again, I hope you find inspiration. I hope that you continue to come back. Please like, please comment, and subscribe.